to Don't Feed the Geeks, presented by the Long Island Comic Guys, the masters of the geeky verse. Ooh.
All right. I
don't
like that.
I don't know if I like it.
No. Sorry, it was different.
Welcome back, Geek Freaks, and happy President's Day. Today we like to celebrate one of our favorite Captain Americas, Mr. George Washington. I think he was the first Captain America, and he did that while having a fun fact about him. He had wooden teeth.
He did.
That must have sucked.
Sucked.
But see, you can accomplish great things even if you have disabilities. So cool stuff though. So right now it's just me and JJ here, TC and JJ. We have our awesome interview. We did it a little bit earlier today, but really awesome interview with Tommy Maletta of Best Comics International from 1300 Jericho Turnpike in New Hyde Park, New York.
Was very exciting.
Yeah, it was really he gave us a lot of good information, stuff that we definitely didn't know about. You know, he's been in the industry for over 30 years.
It's crazy.
So I had a lot of fun. I definitely learned some new stuff. We hope you guys do too. So we'll jump into the Geek Beat for now. Unfortunately, we don't have Toy Story here, so I'll do my best to take Toy Story's place.
That's all right. You can do it.
Yeah, I do it better anyway. I'm just kidding. Nah, I hope he listens. We're not going to say anything about this, and then we'll see if he listens.
Yeah, we're going to.
So if he texts us about this, say, "Hey, I listened."
Yeah, let's see if he listens.
All right, so let's jump right into it. I think this happened after our last show. So Joaquin Phoenix, I think Joaquin is
Joaquin.
He won Best Actor for The Joker. Had an interesting speech about animal rights and stuff like that. But
good.
I still haven't seen the movie. You haven't either, right?
I have not.
I think Toy Story is the only one who's seen it.
I don't have an urge to see it. I don't know why.
Same. Yeah. Once it comes on TV or once it's on Netflix, some type of streaming service, I'm gonna catch it. I'm sure it's very good. I'm sure his performance is amazing. I mean, he's an amazing actor. I enjoy his work. But, yeah, I'm kind of in no rush to get to it.
None whatsoever.
I think it's, it's great for the comic community, even though this is kind of I think you would put in air quotes, comic book movie.
Yeah,
but,
I agree.
Yeah, I think it's good. Moving on to more Batman stuff. A new, very dark, very red photo of Robert Pattinson as Batman was released, including pictures of him wearing the cowl and the Batman emblem on his chest. A lot of people are comparing it to Daredevil. That's why I made that hilarious joke just now.
It was very funny. So
I think me and Toy Story were talking about this earlier. I think the fact that they do have this red backlighting to it, like kind of shining on him, lends to the fact that it looks red. So I don't know. I mean, it seems okay. I definitely remember telling both of you guys that I'm doing my very best to not have any expectations for this movie.
And I think you can't have any expectations.
And I'm trying not to. I almost don't even want to watch the previews. I just want to walk into the theater knowing as little as possible, which is not going to happen. It's going to be impossible. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
So one cool thing though, I think he's the Cult of Batman is his name on Instagram. He mentioned that the pieces of metal, which it looks like as the bat emblem, he's like, ooh, could it be pieces of Joe Chill's gun
now
that he's using as the emblem? I was like, that would be pretty cool and interesting if it was.
I'm going to be stupid here. I don't know what that means.
Joe Chill?
Yeah.
Okay. So Joe Chill in the comic books, and I think there's a lot of iterations of how his parents died, Bruce Wayne's parents died. And I think the most current one, and this is the one that they did in Batman, the Dark Knight series.
Okay.
Joe Chill was the man who was charged with murdering Martha and whatever. What's the father's name?
Thomas Wayne?
Thomas Wayne, yeah, excuse me. Yeah,
that I know.
He's the one charged with murdering them. So
what series was this that you're talking about? Comic series?
I mean, I don't know which book specifically,
okay.
But the Christian Bale series, the gunman who shot them was Joe Chill.
Okay.
I mean,
I actually didn't know that.
I think that's actually, and again, unfortunately, if Bojo was here, he would know for sure. I think that's basically from the comic book story, the original comic book story, or at least the long going one. I think the story of Joker being the one to kill him is only exclusively from the Batman '89
From
story.
the movie.
I can't say with complete confidence that that's the case, but
Okay, so now people. So the idea is that this emblem is pieces of this guy's gun.
it's a speculation that one guy has
Okay.
that on Instagram who's a big Batman fan, and it's just kind of like his thoughts. And I mean, I have no evidence to support that. I just thought it was a cool idea that I kind of agreed with.
Okay,
would be cool.
I need to look up more of this Joe Chill. I had no idea. Honestly, I was dumb on that part.
Yeah, well, if you saw Batman Begins, there's a interaction with him and Joe Chill in that.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I remember that. I just don't remember him. Okay, cool.
All right, so a little bit more Batman news. The animated series will return in comic book form, though, this April. It's going to be called Batman: The Adventure Continues. It's going to be a 6-issue limited series released digitally at first. I guess it's called digital first is the way they're describing it, with the printed versions due to be released on May 6th at this point. Who knows if that'll change by then, but that's the story for now. The big news is it's going to be written by the Batman the Animated Series co-creator Paul Dini, with Alan Burnett, who wrote many of the episodes for the original cartoon series. The illustrator is returning. His name's Ty Templeton. He illustrated a lot of the original Batman Adventures comic books, which were spun off from the cartoon. Most famous from all those is Batman Adventures 12, probably, which many people know are the first comic book appearance of one Harley Quinn. Not in continuity. I think I forgot what the continuity. I think it's just called Batman Harley Quinn. Might be the DC. That might be the DC first DC continuity first appearance of her. But pretty interesting. It's supposed to be feature a lot of new characters that weren't initially in the cartoon series. I'm hearing Deathstroke, Azrael, and Red Hood, who I guess I didn't know that they were never in the original series. You probably know it is Jason Todd, excuse me. So that's pretty cool. DC Collectibles, of course, is also planning to expand their action figure lineup with the existing and new characters coming from the series as well.
I'm actually quite excited to see how like Deathstroke and Red Hood, how they're
translate
drawn.
to that. Yeah,
because
I feel like it's I think he was in some of the Teen Titans, not like the Teen Titans Go stuff, but I think he was in some of that stuff, and maybe I don't know if he was ever in the Justice League, but
yeah, but this guy, if it's got the same cartoony look and feel, like I'm really excited to see how they're drawn.
Yeah, and the covers look great. Did you see the one I posted the other day on Don't Feed the Geeks was the Dave Johnson one?
Yes,
that's the guy who we got Jeff to buy that cover from. Me and us and Dave Johnson ganged up on Jeff and forced him to kind of buy that. He was leaning towards it anyway, but I love Dave Johnson's work. He's been doing a lot of the Batman Beyond covers, and I was pretty tempted to pick one up, but the one that he did, he's like, oh yeah, I sold that one a long time ago, was the one that I really liked. I was like, all right, probably better for me.
That's crazy.
All right, so
very cool. I'm excited for that.
Yeah, it's a 6. I don't know if I said that. It's a 6-issue limited series as well. So
I wonder if they're going to do this. Because I know back in the day when DC did their digital stuff first, like they were shorter stories. So like 4 stories would end up being
a comic book.
A comic book. Yeah. I wonder if they're going to do that with this.
I wouldn't be surprised if they do.
Yeah.
But I guess we'll find, like Injustice you're talking about did that.
Yeah,
right?
so they came out one a week. So
right.
It was once, and then when that month was done, the book came out.
Yeah.
So I kind of like that because you get a little feel every week.
It was
kept
cool
it
too.
Going.
The only thing that would drive me crazy about that was like it ends so short. I was like, all right, I gotta wait another week now.
But you knew a week later you were gonna get something.
No, that's true. You're right. So the best thing to do would have been to read it on a Sunday. So another thing, I guess on the Netflix side, Stranger Things released a teaser. I know you're a little bit behind, JJ.
I am, yeah.
But me, the wife, and my sister-in-law, we watched those religiously. So nothing too crazy. I think it was the only bombshell they dropped is that, so I'm going to spoil it for you.
Go ahead.
Hopper is still alive. And I think, by the way they ended last season, it was pretty obvious that he was. So it opens up with him kind of like driving some stakes into the ground for a railroad somewhere snowy with Russian soldiers around him. So maybe it's Russia, I guess, but who knows? So that's cool that you see him. He's got a shaved head and no beard. That's it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I got to catch up. I that's something maybe I got to get my wife into, because then that will force me to watch it. So that's a big bin watch there.
Yes, it's definitely worth it. I would convince her to do it.
Cool.
So now to something we're super excited about. That's great. Yes, huge Master of the Universe Revelations news was released. The voice cast, the entire voice cast was released, and it goes without saying. I'm personally ecstatic about the castings. I mean, I have a whole list of here. I mean, we're going to probably spend exorbitant amount of time on it. Well, not exorbitant, but I'm going to spend a lot of time geeking out about this.
This is a very, very impressive list of actors that Kevin Smith somehow pulled out of his butt to get.
I mean, I told Tom Travers, because I know he was on our last episode, and he's a huge Masters of the Universe guy. I was like, by this cast tells me how serious and how passionate Kevin Smith is about this project, because the cast list that he put together for this is amazing. Now, I mean, right off the bat, the mic drop here, without doubt, Mark Hamill as Skeletor. I mean, other than Alan Oppenheimer still being able to do it, which is tough because I think he's like almost in his 90s.
Right.
I mean, this is the second best person
I don't think
I would want to do it.
You couldn't get anybody better.
No, other than going back to 1980 and getting Alan Oppenheimer to come back. I mean, the great thing, and I love that he did this, I think it's super respectful, is that he does have Alan Oppenheimer voicing Mossman in the series.
Yes.
Who I don't even remember seeing. Maybe I didn't watch as many He-Man episodes as I thought I did. I never remember seeing Mossman appear, but he's going to play that character. So, I mean, it's probably going to be in a limited capacity, but just hearing, Alan Oppenheimer's voice, he did Skeletor, he did Man-at-Arms, he did some other characters. It's just, you need that voice in there. It's pretty special.
And seeing Mark has done, I mean, he's iconic for the Joker.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah, I'm sold right away.
I can't. I'm trying to visualize audio, like trying to figure out like what it's going to sound like, and it's just. I think it's going to be amazing.
Oh, I have no doubt. I mean, I have to go through this whole list because it just amazes me. Lena Headey, Cersei from Game of Thrones. She's going to be Evelyn. Again. I mean, she already played that character, so it's not even a stretch for her. Basically, that's like kind of an extension of who she was on Game of Thrones.
Amazing.
Chris Wood, so I don't know if you saw him in Supergirl, but he played Mon-El. He's going to be playing Prince Adam and He-Man, and I think he's got the right voice for it. So we already discussed this, and I told you that we had to stop discussing this without talking about it on the podcast. Was my only concern is, and I think the new series that they did this, was they didn't really give a differentiation between the voice that the character used for He-Man and Prince Adam. I just hope that he does that. I was like, if he has like a different way of talking, like maybe, talking one way and then maybe a slightly deeper voice for He-Man, that's important to me. So I hope he does that.
I think Kevin Smith's got that. I mean, I can't.
He seems to.
If he's going through this much for just the cast, I think he's going to get that.
And again, this is supposed to be a continuation of the original series. I mean, more adult, which I'm hoping doesn't mean like they're going to go to graphic violence and, sexuality with it. But, I'm okay with taking a little of the campiness out, like I said last episode. But as long as they keep the same theme.
Now, the next girl. I have such a thing for her.
Oh, boy.
This is trouble.
Hey. I sent her a letter in the 8th grade. I think we might be dating, so you better be careful.
I've dated her so many times in my dreams.
Oh, boy. Things are getting off the rails. All right, say who it is.
Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Buffy herself is playing Teela. That's awesome. She's been doing so much voice work lately. And
Star Wars is a huge one. I mean, that's.
And I can see it. You know what? It's so crazy that, I mean, we're going to go through this whole list. Every person's name, like even if I wasn't sure who they were and I looked it up and I saw, I was like, oh my God, that's perfect. Like, oh my God, that's perfect.
Now I'm visualizing her makeout scene in Cruel Intentions with the other girl.
Oh boy.
See, this is a problem.
All right, let's move on to the next character then. So Liam Cunningham, that is Davos from Game of Thrones, people. that he is playing Man at Arms. Freaking love this choice. I mean, his voice is so perfect for that. Alan Oppenheimer was the one who originally did Man of Arms, but he has the perfect voice. You know, maybe he'll put a little bit of accent in there. It's just Man at Arms. I see no problem with Davos's voice. That I mean, it might be my favorite pick out of everyone. I mean, aside from like Mark, I'm still shell shocked the fact that Mark Hamill is even playing Skeletor, but like this is a very close second.
You know, I'm going to break in here. So I would love to see what the original list of names that Kevin Smith had for each of these characters. And like, did he have other choices for Mark Hamill? Did he have other choices for, you know, Chris Wood? What were the other choices that he had?
I would not be surprised if this is his list.
You think so?
I wouldn't be surprised. Because, you know, he's worked on Supergirl. So I'm sure like Chris Wood, he had all these people in mind. I mean, so the next name on the list, Stephen Root, Office Space. You know, the guy, excuse me, I think you have my stapler.
Got my stapler.
I mean, he's playing the voice of Cringer. I don't know if he's doing Battle Cat too, but I mean, they have him listed as Cringer. I was like,
if he does it with that voice, I'm going to pass out.
I mean, I'm dangerously excited about this now. It's getting to the point where if it doesn't reach my if it just comes close to reaching my expectations, it's going to be a hit. And I think I've already said that. I mean, the next one, Diedrich Bader.
Love this
Drew
guy.
Carey, Office Space. I mean, he's playing King Randor and Trapjaw.
Amazing choice.
I mean, we talked about him the other day when we did when we were talking about the Harley Quinn animated series. Yes. He was playing Batman. It was just, he did such a great job.
Yep.
Alan Oppenheimer, again, he's the original Skeletor, Man at Arms and everything. He's going to be Moss Man. Susan Eisenberg is playing the Sorceress. She's the woman who did all the classic, like the 90s animation Wonder Woman. She did the Justice League. I'm like, that's perfect. Like, she has such a regal voice. I mean, she's an ideal choice for the Sorceress.
I know you skipped over a couple here. You know, one of my favorite guys, I mean, he's a singer, Henry Rollins.
I think we may have it in a different order, but yeah, go.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm so sorry.
No.
I'm so sorry.
No, I didn't have that one on my list, actually.
Henry Rollins. Now, this is originally in the 80s, early 80s, Black Flag, lead singer of Black Flag. I mean, hardcore punk, just beat him up, you know, go to town. He's voicing Triclops.
That's awesome.
Like, I can visualize him doing this. Now, Henry Rollins, if anybody knows who he is, I mean, he's a huge dude, and just, you don't want to meet this guy in an alley because it looks like he'll just beat the crap out of you. But I've seen him on interviews and stuff, and he's just the nicest guy on the planet. But, you know, he's heavily tatted and everything else. But, I mean, he's a voice of one of these characters. It's amazing to see his name on this list. Again, how did Kevin Smith go, we're going to get Henry Rollins to do this?
I mean, it must just be like all his friends who he knows are into like He-Man, and it's just like, all right, I think you're perfect for this. You can do that. And it's just like, I mean, there's characters that I've never even seen on the screen before, but I'm seeing like I'll get back to the ones. But Alicia Silverstone. What? Alicia Silverstone, Batgirl, Clueless. I mean, she's playing Queen Marlena, you know, He-Man's mom.
And she's dropped off the planet for the last few years.
She's come back recently with some stuff.
I haven't seen her in anything, but
I think she was doing some HBO show.
Yeah, no idea.
Or something like that.
It's nice to see her back.
She left to like raise her kids.
Yeah. Yep. And she's big into that PETA crap, you know, right? Dogs and cats. I don't know.
I mean, I like dogs and cats. I don't eat them. That's why I don't have any corona. All right, we won't get into that. Justin Long, I mean, you know, he's in the movie Accepted. He was in Galaxy Quest.
Which one was he?
He's the one
in Galaxy Quest.
He's the nerdy kid who like talks him through the how to get to like the MacGuffin thing. Again, we're talking about MacGuffins. But he's playing Roboto. I was like, okay. Again, another character I don't even remember from the original animated series.
Okay.
You have Jay Muse, his Kevin Smith's buddy. Yeah. He's playing Stinkor, which is like, I don't even know what Stinkor is supposed. So Stinkor actually is a character I never think made the original animated series.
No, I remember his like figure coming out like the fourth or fifth.
Yeah, he was like he was basically a variation of Merman, but like he had this thing where he smelled.
Yes.
And they're like, you can make the toy, but this is such a ridiculous character. We're never putting it in the movie.
And you know what's funny is we haven't seen or heard this character speak, but
No.
I can picture Jason Mewes doing this character.
100%.
Like-
Jason Mewes, if you wanted me to give him another name, I would probably refer to him as Stinkor.
Probably. There is no drug addict kind of in here, but
Another one, Phil Lamar.
Where?
Phil Lamar, Mad
What
TV,
the
Justice League. I mean, he's playing Hero. I think that's like the bad version of He-Man,
yeah,
I think.
Yeah. Again,
It's-
another fantastic voiceover actor.
Yes.
He's done so much. But what's that one with Planet Express? I mean, he was one of those characters. Oh my goodness, Matt Going. Oh my God, I'm blanking out.
I'm unfortunately have no idea where you're
Jeez.
going. I'm
Bender
sorry.
the robot.
Yeah.
Darn it, it hasn't been on in a while. Man, but he was one of those character voices. Which I
he was
loved.
on that show as well.
Yeah.
Why am I? I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I'm blanking on that. Now, see, I'm gonna have to look this one up.
Yeah, you look that up, and then I'll go into the next character here. So who else do we got? We have a big one here, Kevin Conroy.
Huge. Futurama.
Batman.
Futurama.
Futurama. That's
Jesus.
right. He, Batman from Batman the Animated Series. He was on Crisis on Infinite Earths recently. He's gonna be doing Merman. I was like, I can't wait to hear Kevin Conroy play Merman.
I see a theme with all these names. Like Kevin Smith definitely pulled from, looks like any person that was in a Batman show or movie.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he pulled a lot of them.
So-
So DC movies.
So this is one guy I don't know. Kevin Michael Richardson is playing Beastman. Are you familiar with that name?
I'm not.
I
but
looked
it
him
says
up, but I didn't see a lot of stuff on
Well,
him.
Thundercat. So he must have been just a voiceover. He's a voiceover character.
Okay. So I'm cool with that though. We have Tony. Do you know who Tony Todd is? Tony Todd is the guy who played the Candyman in the movie Candyman. He was in. He played in Star Trek. He played the Worf's brother in
What's
Star
his name?
Trek.
Tony what?
Tony Todd. If you see him, you know him. He was in The Rock. He
Oh,
was
I
one
like
of the
this
bad
guy.
He's great. He's playing
He's
this
actually a scary dude
character, Scareglow.
But wasn't he in Gotham?
Maybe, probably. I didn't.
Oh
I
no,
don't
he was in
remember.
The Flash. I'm so sorry, The Flash.
Yes.
There we go.
So he did the voice. He wasn't actually in it, but he did the voice of Zoom
yes.
when he was in the Zoom
Yes,
character.
yes,
Great,
yes,
great
yes.
voice actor.
Yes. Oh, excellent. I like him.
Yeah. There's somebody named Cree Summer, another name I don't know, and they're playing somebody called Priestess, who I'm also not familiar with.
Again,
I didn't do a deep dive in that. But then we also have Kevin Smith's daughter, Harley Quinn Smith, playing someone, Elena. I'm also not 100% sure who that character is. Maybe it's a new character. Oh, there was an Orko person too. I don't remember who that was. Griffin Newman. I think he plays in the new show The Tick.
Yeah, he's in The Tick.
He plays
He's not the big guy.
No, he plays the secondary character.
Oh,
The big guy is the guy from
I like his voice.
Yeah, he's the guy from Guardians of the Galaxy
Yes.
who says, "What a bunch of a-holes." Yeah, but this list, I mean, there's Tiffany Smith. I think that's his wife, Kevin Smith's wife. She's playing somebody named Andra. The list is just immensely impressive, especially to anyone who's a Master Universe fan. I think you can see almost all these characters doing the voice, all these actors, doing the characters' voices.
No, Tiffany Smith is not his.
It's not?
No, some young girl.
Oh, I apologize then.
Yeah, no. She's been in a couple of movies.
All right.
Yeah, his wife's an actress. It's not.
Yeah.
Her name's not Tiffany though. That I know.
All right. Apologies then.
That's all right.
I don't want to give bad information. I just made that
But
up.
this is an incredible list.
Yeah. It's and I think we're going to get a release date pretty soon as well.
Where is this going to be on?
Netflix.
Is it going to be Netflix?
Yes.
Jeez, so they must have paid some money.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it helps. I think the animated stuff, it's easier to do this kind of stuff and, this type of list level when you're doing the animated work as opposed to the live action.
The only problem with this is, they're going to release all, 12, 13 episodes, and we're going to binge watch it in one freaking day, and then we're going to be like, we have to wait another year for another freaking season.
I'm gonna try to stretch it to 2 days.
Yeah, 2 days.
All right, but I think that's a wrap for the Geek Beat for now. Next, we're gonna move on to our interview with Tom Maletta of Best Comics International. Great interview. I really encourage you guys to check it out. Check out Best Comics too. They're always running some sweet deals. If you listen till the end, you'll hear Tommy tell you about some of the promotions they got going on recently. But
and all around, it's just a great store.
Yeah, I mean,
it's our store that we go to, and it's we support them totally.
They'll take care of you guys if you go in there. All right, so here we go to our interview with Tom Maletta. All right, we're on location today at 1300 Jericho Turnpike in New Hyde Park, New York. What? Why are you looking at me like that?
Are you gonna say like where we're at?
Yes. Okay. To proudly introduce the owner and proprietor of Best Comics International, Tom Maletta. Nice. Tom, welcome.
Hi, thank you. How are you?
Good. All right, so now before we get into discussing Best Comics, the store and the brand, let's dive into the origin story of its owner. Tom, what was the comic and geek content that initially drew you into the hobby?
Oh, this is going back a long time now. I had to be about 7, 8 years old. My parents took me to my great aunt Goldie's house for Christmas, and while all the adults were in the kitchen, I was out on the couch next to the Christmas tree reading the classics comics that their son had left out, and things like Frankenstein, From the Earth to the Moon by Jules Verne, things like that. And ever since then, I was hooked, and I started collecting Marvel comics mostly. I dabbed in DC, when I used to go for my crew cuts with the bazooka bubble gum. They always had the old Supermans out and the Lois Lanes and the actions, and I read those, but I was more of a Marvel guy, and Spidey was my main character.
Oh, good choice.
And I've always collected, throughout high school and college and going on with life. I've always had an affinity for comic books, and after I left my former ex-family business was the auto industry, I got out of that, and around 30 years old, I said, what could I do that I could make money with and really have a good time? And I said, comics.
No brainer, right?
Yeah. Wow. And 30 years later and 5 stores later, here I am, still going.
All right.
That's very cool.
Wow.
Yeah,
So you started a comic book store at 30.
Yeah.
Wow. Your own? At your
1990. I actually started selling to 7-Elevens first and supplying them with the comics on their racks. But the problem with the 7-Elevens is you had to give them returnability. Uh-huh. So that only worked for about 6 months because I like taking money in. I don't like giving it back.
That's fair. That's very fair.
And after that, I got a partnership in a Hamptons Bay store out in the Hamptons. And then I bought the guy out. I ran that for a while, but it wasn't a good location. Then I opened up in Little Neck in a small store on Northern Boulevard. And then I moved to Greenville with another store on Glen Cove Road. And then I moved to a bigger store in Little Neck across the street. I was there for about 10 or 15 years. And then I've been here in New Hyde Park for about, almost 15 years now.
Oh. Wow.
So has it always been the Best Comics name?
Yeah, variations of it, because every time I moved my business, I was always suggested by my attorney to change the corporate name. But it was always DBA is Best Comics. It used to be Best Comics Distribution when I used to do a lot of wholesaling. It's been Best Comics alone. It's been Best Comics and Hobbies. And now it's Best Comics International. But my actual corporate name is Jericho Comics.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Learned something new.
But my DBA has always been Best Comics.
Got it.
So, I mean, from all that, we can definitely tell that you're a veteran in the industry. You've been around a long time. How many of the shops since you've started would you say are still around?
I've seen them come and go.
Yeah,
Only
sure,
a few.
Right? Yeah.
And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that I've always been a businessman from my stepfather. He taught me how to run a business when I was 16, 17 years old, even before I went to college. And I think using that mentality going into the comic book business is you have to run it like any other business. And these guys that I've seen come and go, they haven't done that. You can't walk in, I used to walk into comic stores when I was a kid, and there was sawdust on the floor, a couple of lights up on the ceiling, and the comics hung on the wall. And never in a million years would I think I'd have a comic store, but I always used to say, walking into these stores, and Mike's Comic Hut was one of them in Flushing. And I used to walk in there and I just go, boy, if I have a comic book store, my store would never look like this.
No, that's one of the things I've always said about your shop. It always looks clean. Like we're here all the time, so we see people constantly cleaning, constantly vacuuming. When you walk in, you don't want to be disgusted by the place of business you're in because you don't want to stay in there otherwise. So
well, it's not. It's just I've learned a long time ago. Somebody walking in that's going to drop $500 or whatever on a book or on a statue, they don't want to walk into a store that doesn't look well.
Yeah, like
if they're spending that kind of money.
Yeah, you're 100% right. I think that's the right way to do it if you're going to do it.
Well, it's worked for me. I mean, so far, like I said, I've seen them come and go, and there's a few guys still around, like Fourth World Comics and a couple other guys, but they run their stores the same way.
Yeah.
Glenn at Fourth World, he's a friend of mine, and he's just, I respect him because he runs his store like I do. He's got a really nice, clean, neat store, too.
Nice.
So in terms of the industry as a whole, what would you say since when you started to now are kind of like the biggest differences?
Well, for me, it was when Bowen got out of the business, when he went through a divorce and the company dissolved, because Bowen was a big part of my business. I distributed a lot of Bowen statues throughout the years that kept me going.
I remember when I first started working here, it was all Bowen all the time.
Yeah, and I did very well with that. And that was when Bowen got out of it, that was a big hit for me. It almost put me down, but I just had to regroup and find other things. Like, there's been Pokemon where I took my family to Italy on Pokemon money. it was like cardboard on crack.
Oh,
Yeah,
interesting.
crack on cardboard, I should say. I used to walk in, and by 3:00, kids would be surrounding me like I was the Pied Piper, buying specialty cards that were $20 to $100 each. And I did that for a while. Then we did the basketball cards with Shaquille O'Neal rookies and LeBron James. That was a big deal. But always with the comics, the new comics every week, and just going into other things like now with Hot Toys and Sideshow. But
Yeah, there's so much out with them now.
the one staple that's kept me alive all these years is, I don't need to sell new comics every week. The reason I sell new I don't make any money on it. Everybody says, oh, comics $4 or $5, you're making a lot. You're not. You'll never make a living on just new comics. The reason I do new comics is because you see the same people every week, and then you show them the old stuff. Because the old stuff is where the money is. That's where you make your money. I had an Action 1 at one time in my life, which was a $50,000 book for me.
Yeah.
Wow. But that's what has helped me survive. The old comics, like the Spidey 129 I just showed you, that's where you make your money. But the new comics, no, I do it because I want to see the people every week.
Yeah.
But I've had to change gears quite a few times over the years to keep going, and
Yeah, that's a big
it's
thing.
just, it's a matter of survival.
Yeah.
Got to adapt with the change, right?
Right,
With the change in
exactly.
the industry.
Evolve.
Necessity is the mother of all invention.
So grading is it's still fairly new for the most part, right?
Well, grading?
Yeah,
Grading's
comic
been
book
around
grading.
since 2000.
Yeah.
That's when CGC started, right around there, 1999, 2000. And that has changed the industry considerably. It's basically turned it upside down on its head.
Yeah.
Because it brought in quite a few new investors outside of the comic industry. And people make a good living now just off the commissions of selling
Yeah.
old books, whether it's Comic Link or the guy in Texas, the
Lone Star or something?
Lone Star,
yeah.
Mile High Comics. All these guys, they're making big money now with these, as I am occasionally, not as often as they do, because I focus on a lot of other things.
Do you remember when CGC first came out, what you thought of it at the time? Or what the general consensus
Yeah,
was?
it was. It is a good question. Everybody
Because
thought it
I'm
was.
sure people didn't just accept it right
No,
away, right?
everybody thought it was BS, and it's just another angle. But it grew because people saw the money that was being made on, now you don't have to take a dealer's word that the book is not restored. Now you can send it in, and you can get a committee of 5, 6, 7 people looking at the book with a head grader making the final decision that the book wasn't restored. They have black lights and all other things in their facilities to check for restoration, for color touch, for ink and things like that. I mean, things you couldn't see with the naked eye, or I couldn't pick out. Occasionally it happens.
Yeah.
You know, there's a few people around that can spot, like, you know, Alan.
Yeah.
Like, you know, he's good with that, but that's his thing. That's he loves that.
Yeah, not everybody can do that.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I would never have the patience to sit
Yeah, there's
there
probably
and
only
grade.
a handful of people who can really do
That's
that
right.
nowadays.
That's right.
Who don't already work for CGC.
Yeah, exactly.
But grading has changed. The CGC has changed the landscape of the business.
Yeah.
I mean, look at action number one. Action number one, ungraded before grading was around, sold for $10,000, $20,000, $30,000. A really nice one, $50,000. Now they're going for millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which probably never would have happened if grading didn't
It's
come
true.
like that.
Right.
So this is actually a question from Zach, or most of our listeners know him as Bojo, Bonus Jonas. So he came up with
Tell
this
Zach to come in and pick up his books.
we will. Don't worry, we will.
We'll make them listen to this.
So he recommended this question. He said, "What do you think the biggest misconception people have about running a comic shop are?"
That it's all fun and games. It's not business.
Yeah.
They're just reading
And-
comics all the time.
And people don't realize it's like any other business. You got to pay payroll taxes, 941 taxes, sales tax, federal tax, or insurance for this, rent every month. It's like anything else. If you're going to run a business, you can have fun,
Yeah.
but you
Gotta do the work, right?
You got to do the work and put the time in. You know.
Agree.
That was a good question from Zach.
Yeah. Well, you know, Zach, he's always good like that.
Yes.
All right. So you mentioned new comics before. They're not really, you know, what brings the money into the store. But what do you have to go through to actually order the new comics? Because I mean, we know a little bit, but it's a pretty involved process, right?
Yes, you have. Number one, you have to have a brick and mortar store. They made that about 10, 12 years ago. Because
Mandatory.
because too many people were just buying through Diamond as a distributor.
Oh, so you used to be able to buy them individually? through
Yeah,
Diamond?
you had to meet a minimum, like you had to do $5,000 a month in sales with them. Cost.
But now you have to have an actual store.
But now,
Interesting.
besides that 5,000 or whatever the number is, because I've obviously surpassed that.
Yeah.
You have to have a brick and mortar store, which is good because it protects people like me that are paying rent and salaries and everything else.
Yeah.
I mean, my expenses here a month, roughly 10,000 without salary and no, I'm sorry, not without salary, but 10,000 a month besides product. You know, product is 30, 40,000 a month for me.
Wow.
So yeah, it's not easy, and you know, after 30 years, is it always fun? No, but I still have interest in it that keeps me here. But you know, I got a very good group of people that work for me that are in the store a lot of hours, and you know that makes a big difference too. Your employees,
Yeah.
because if I had to do it myself, I'd probably be out of business because sometimes I hide in the office because, you know, after doing this for 30 years and at my age, I just don't have the patience that you young whippersnappers do.
Yeah, it helps when you have people who are passionate about it, you know, working with you too. Like, you know, Zach used to work here a long time. Nick,
Zach,
you know,
Chris, all those guys.
They love the industry, and you know, it translates to the customers.
Even the kids, like, I shouldn't call him a kid because he's 21, 22, but he's a kid to me.
Yeah.
Even like Jake.
Yeah.
And when you help me out.
Yeah. Yeah, Matt still
I
puts in his time here.
Yeah, no, he does, and I love Matt, and,
Yeah.
and you know, you guys are great, and
That's,
I couldn't do it without my employees.
yeah, I think
over
that's a
the
big thing.
years.
You're very good at choosing the right people to be working in the store
Well,
with you as
not
well.
all the time.
No, for the most part, I think a lot of the
can't be
people that
perfect.
you know we're friends with most of the people that work there. You know, we hang out with them outside of the store. You know, that really makes a difference. You know, the type of people you have in the store, as opposed to, you know, just a guy looking to, like, you know, well, what do you want? You know, on anything, and you know,
No,
they
it
just
does.
leave you
It
alone.
does. It
Yeah.
does make a difference. Definitely does.
So people are still a little bit varying crazy, although I think it's dying down. I know you guys have to go through a pretty crazy process to get some of these rare variants. What do you guys have to do to the kind of the hoops you have to jump through to get through some of these variants that people go crazy about?
Well, firstly, I leave that to Nick. because,
Good plan.
because if I was ordering the book still, I would order one cover and you either like it or you don't. But, no, I'm being funny. But Nick does all the variant covers. You usually have to, there are incentives to buy variant covers. It's like one every 5 or one every 15 or one every 25, and sometimes it's one every 100. But you have to decide if
Is it worth it to get 100 of that?
buying 100 comics at $4.99 each, that's $500. And then you got to figure out the cost of the books as opposed to your actual sales. And are the leftover books going to compensate for the price that you're putting out that one variant for? I mean, a 1 in 500 variant, I got to get at least $300 to $350 before I can see any profit. And I won't always do that unless I have a specific customer in mind that I know is going to buy it. People like that, or somebody requests it, and they'll ask me first how much the price will be.
Right.
But I think that personally, I think there's too many variant covers out there.
Yeah.
Because in 10 years, here's the bottom line: which variant covers are going to be worth something and which aren't? Or maybe the regular cover is going to be worth more. You don't know. So yes, this collectability business is very cyclic, and this is a cycle. The variants are calming down now. You're right. I think that they're hurting the market now because people are just getting tired of spending $4 or $5 a book and buying the same book with 3 different covers. I mean, it's going to implode sooner or later. We're going to go back to one cover, and then it's going to pick up again, just like in the late '90s with the Image, with all the sparkly covers and everything. People got tired of that.
Yeah.
And that was the downfall of Image, but they recouped themselves, and
It's always trying to find the next thing, right?
right. That's what it is. It's always trying to find the next big thing. They've come out with the acetate covers and this and that, and like they'll find like a Steve Ditko piece that was never put into a comic book, and they'll put it as a special variant cover.
Yeah,
That's funny.
But people are they're passionate in the respect that you'll have a guy that'll spend $500 on a Steve Ditko cover. I've had him.
Yeah.
So I don't see it. I mean, it's lasted a while now, 2 or 3 years, maybe a little bit more. But like Tess said, I see it calming down.
Yeah.
And it'll cycle down, and then it'll cycle back up.
To something else, right?
Right.
So pretty much what we're all into now, and I think most of the community, like you said, are the old books, the keys. How do you guys go about replenishing those? On a daily basis.
Just going out there and looking for collections, advertising for collections, word of mouth, old customers that are not into it anymore, they'll come back in and sell back collections. It's 50 different ways to get collections.
Yeah.
It's probably a hard thing to rely on too, right? Because you don't know when they're going to come in.
No. I turn down 6 collections a week that are just garbage.
Yeah.
That people think I'm sending their children to college with.
Yeah.
I mean, the collection that you guys know I bought in the summer was a mind-staggering collection. It was 5,000 books of stuff that's keeping me going every day. And, you come across those once a year. The year before that, I had the signature stuff from Stan Lee for the convention.
I got one of those.
I flew down to Florida for that. The guy met me at one of the New York comic conventions, and he says, "Listen, I've talked to other dealers. Nobody wants to bother. Come down, look at it. You want to come down?" I said, "Sure, I'll come down." I go down there every couple of months anyway to see my mom. So he lived a half an hour away from my mom, so I drove there. Yeah, I drove there, looked at the collection, bought it, and then drove it home.
So when you deny somebody or say, I'm not going to buy this, the reaction that you get, is it like, what are some of the reactions that you get?
Well, you still gotta
people
you still gotta make people feel like they have something that's value, but I may not be interested. And this is true, that I may not be interested because I either have tons of it already, or their books are just dog-eared. I mean, some guys will come in and their comics will be bagged and board perfectly, and I don't have to change the bags and boards. All I gotta do is slap a price on them, put them in the $1 books or $5 books. Those I'll buy. I'll tell people, your collection is worth maybe $300, I'll give you $100 for it. Or maybe $150, depending on the actual condition of the books. Other people that come in, you got to understand, half these people come in, they come in with brown boxes with their comics just thrown in that look like they've been in a flood or something. And I don't even want to touch them because they're cruddy, their ears are chewed off from mice or from silverfish or whatever. I got to draw the line somewhere.
Right.
And I tell people, you really expect me to look through this? Or you really want me to buy this? Because I can't buy this. I can't go through it. Well, why not? Why not? Your books are not in good shape. They might be worth something to you or to somebody else, but really not to me. And I try and let them down as easy as I can because you don't want to piss people off or insult them either because you don't want them going out and bad-mouthing you. And then, and not for so much for the, what's the word I'm looking for? Not so much for the recognition of being not nice to the guy or something, but, word of mouth is...
reputation, right?
Reputation, plus you don't want somebody not coming in because they heard that you treat their collection like so.
Right.
Yeah, you have to be careful what you say to people to make them not feel too bad, or a guy, I'll have somebody come from Brooklyn or something and they'll call me first and they say, I got about 300, 400, 500 books. Do you buy them? I said, yeah, bring them in. Well, how much are you going to give me? I can't tell you that until I see it. I can't tell you that until I see it.
It's funny.
But I let them know. Could be $20, could be $200. You're taking a chance coming down, and I try and do whatever I can, either what's right for me or what's right for them.
That's a good point.
Cool.
Yeah. So you said before that you had an Action 1 years ago, right? What's the story behind that? Because that doesn't come around every day.
No, that ship came around once in my life, and that was the down payment for my first house. I had a guy that was coming in. Well, he first walked into me. This was one of my first stores in Little Neck in the early to mid 90s. He came in and he says, I have a whole DC collection of all the DC books from 1970 back. Great. Bring in the Superman one, the Batman one, the Action one. No. I'm going to give you the newest stuff first, and we're going to go backwards because I know once I sell you the old stuff, you're not going to be interested in the new stuff. And he was very smart like that. So 2.5 years later, after I got through all the books with him, and they were
Did you end up buying like everything from him?
I had to.
Yeah, that's
Then when we finally got down to the nitty-gritty, I was like, yeah, it's about time. And I had the first Batman, I had the first Robin, the first Superman.
Wow.
I had them all. And the Action 1, he brings into me, and CGC had just opened up. And I had a friend there that was running CGC. And he told me, and I drove the book to Jersey when they were in Jersey before they moved to Sarasota. And the guy looked at it and he said to me, this book is restored. I go, I didn't know that. And he says, yeah, there's a color touch on it. And I said, oh, well, just grade it. And he says, no. We don't want to grade it with a restored grade. We want to grade it without a restored grade. The grade will be less, but it'll be unrestored. And I said, he says it's a difference of like $10,000. So I said, well, what do I got to do? He says, by the time you bring the book through the door, that corner's got to be gone. So outside,
Are you telling me you had to cut a corner off
outside, leaning over the hood of my car, I'm having quite the conversation with myself that I got to rip a corner off the Action 1.
Oh my God.
And I finally did it, and I brought it in, and I went to lunch, came back, was graded, and it came back a 1.5 unrestored.
Wow.
And rather than it coming back a 2.5 restored, that would have made a difference of 10,000 less.
Wow.
So
that must have been extremely stressful for you to do.
It was. But I got the book back, and I sold it 2 days later to another dealer that had somebody lined up for it, and I got my money out of it, and I was happy, and I used that for the down payment on my first house.
That's great.
Jim, your face.
I'm in shock. Like the $10,000 difference between a restored
higher grade restored.
Yeah.
And
Well, it was a little bit more than that. It was like 45 compared to 60,000.
That's amazing.
wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So would you say from that collection, those are the biggest books that have ever passed through? in
Yeah.
your stores.
Yeah, because he had the whole Justice League run, the Golden Age. Yeah, the Wonder Womans, the Batmans, the detectives, everything. And
So Batman one.
foolishly at the time, I sold too many of the books ungraded because CGC
Well, it's
wasn't
new. You
that
can never know.
Right.
big
yeah.
deal yet. And there's always hindsight. You look back on stuff,
Yeah, it's
shoulda, woulda, coulda, but listen, people say, "Oh, you should have held on to the Action One; it would be worth $100,000 now." It doesn't matter.
You got your house.
I got a house, and I sold my house 5 years later, and I doubled my money. So
Yeah.
what's
The same thing.
Yeah, it's the same difference.
Yeah, you're not always going to do everything perfectly either.
So there was a Detective 27, Batman 1, all that was in there?
Yeah.
Wow. That's great.
Did you get any of the other ones graded, or was just the action?
Just the action.
That's
that was
great.
that was yeah.
Jeez.
Listen, I didn't know better. We all make mistakes, but I'm still here talking
I would
about
say
it.
it's a mistake, but because you did pretty well.
No,
I'm
but
sure.
I should have had more patience with the other books. But I was hot. Listen, I was making money. I was hot to sell them.
Yeah.
I was getting all that. Cash. Business was great. Things were good. Bought the house. Bought a boat. Did okay. No complaints.
So I kind of had a fun question. So other than comics and like comic, related stuff, what's kind of the strangest stuff you've bought in the store to sell?
Oh, that's a good question too. Strange. I've really had some oddball stuff in the store. I would say like TV memorabilia, like from the old 50s shows and 60s shows, like lunch boxes and lunch pails, and
That's cool stuff.
some of the old G.I. Joe 60s dolls, like G.I. Joe and the space capsule and things
Nice.
like that. And what else? Old tin toys, old pulps from the 20s, things like that. I'll look at anything.
Yeah.
If I feel that I have a niche for it where I can resell it, I'll definitely do that. And
Get back to work, Nick. No problem. You're good, Nick. I'm just kidding. That's cool. Yeah, I've always noticed that you have
we used
like
to
a lot of,
when I used to be called.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. When
No.
when I was Best Comics and Hobbies in Little Neck, I was selling trains. I was into Lionel trains
Wow, yeah.
and the race cars, the slot cars. Just to try different things. And
Oh, is that where the hobby name came from?
yeah, and the old trains that people used to come in and try and sell. The old Lionel trains. It's just amazing. Some of these
Yeah, I've
trains, the
seen
way they
some of
look.
those.
Yeah, the G scale and the O scale, and then the N scale and the H scale. You learn a lot just trying these things.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
So let's talk about conventions a little bit. We know that, we've seen you at a lot of conventions. You do conventions. How do you decide which are the right conventions to do? Which ones you think will be best for Best Comics? Best for Best Comics.
Well, Best Comics, I feel, is a name out there that when people hear Best Comics, they think of, Best Comics is a pretty well-known name at this point.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty big in the respect that I sell the statues and I do the old books. Not like some of these other guys, but,
You have a little bit of everything.
and I won't do the little local shows.
Okay.
I stay away from those because I have an image that I want, a perception of an image that I want to keep up. And I don't feel it's in the best interest of Best Comics to do every little show that there is and have people look and say, well, why is Best Comics here? They're big guys. Why do they feel they have to do a little show? And I always have that in my mind, and the perception of Best Comics I want to be. When I set up at New York Comic Con, I spend a lot of money, as you all know, with the glass cases, with the lights and this and that, and the carpet, and setting it up just right. So there's a perception that it's not just a perception, it's reality of how big we are and how much business we do. And
It's like you said before with the presentation.
yeah, well,
Yeah.
Perception of value.
Yeah.
I've always lived by that, and that's everything. Perception of value. That's important to relay that to customers and to people that come in and buy from you. It's all about perception of value, whether you tell them, wow, this is the last one like this, or this is a special cover, and they usually are, but it's all about perception of value. And I feel I need to do the larger shows like New York Comic Con and the other large shows out there. I'm going to probably do Mohegan Sun this year and a couple other shows in Jersey just because I feel that I need to get out and do the bigger shows. But I used to do Chicago. I used to do California, San Diego Con years ago. But it's harder now at this age. You know, I've been doing this for 30 years since I've been 30 years old. I'm getting tired.
Yeah.
And I can't do every show like I used to. And I can't do every show anymore for the last 5 years. That's why I have 6 guys helping me set up at these shows.
And even with that, there's a lot of work still.
Yeah. I can't do it alone anymore. It's a lot of work. And like I said, if I didn't have my employees, I couldn't do it. So in answer to your question about how do I decide on shows, I look at the show. I also look at the promoter of the show. That's very important to me because I've had run-ins with some people that I don't even know why they're doing shows. They're just not the right people. And I don't have to mention names. We all know who we're talking about. And it's also the price, which has really never been a concern for me because in my head, if I'm making the money, what's the difference what the show costs?
Yeah.
It's like New York Comic Con. The show cost me $15,000 to do it without inventory. But I make enough that it warrants me spending $15,000. Otherwise, I wouldn't bother.
Yeah.
So that's how I decide how to do shows.
So when you have a show that you're at, like say, even if it's a big show, you know, sometimes the shows just aren't good. How do you like make the best out of like shows that aren't necessarily profitable?
I'll go and I'll buy other dealers. Because if I'm not having a good show, a lot of people are not having a good show.
It's a good time to
So
buy them.
capitalizing
I've done that over the last couple of years, especially at the Cradle of Aviation, which I sponsor.
Yeah.
You know, there was a guy there having not a great show, and he had 100 CGC books that I bought across the board at a low price because it wasn't doing any business. So, you know, if a show's not good, I'll go out and around and I'll spend money if I can get good deals.
You also get the name out there even more. Like that's why you said you would go into Jersey and stuff like that.
Right.
To, you know, I mean, I think in this area, New York for sure, Long Island, you know, the city, everybody pretty much knows Best Comics, but maybe not so much in Jersey.
Right.
It's a new market to grow into.
Yeah, just make sure that you guys are all free May 28th to the 31st.
Oh, we're gonna be doing the show too.
All right.
All right. So, a kind of a final question here. Where do you see the industry in 10 years?
Good question.
That is a question that I was expecting.
Yeah, that was the one I figured was gonna trip you up.
Well, I'm gonna be 61 this year, and I just signed 2 years ago. I signed my lease with my landlord for another 10, and I got 8 years left, and I don't know if I'm gonna be out after that. It depends where the industry is. Like you said, where do I see this business going? It's never going to be what it was, because there's too many people now that are into the digital with the computers and everything else and their phones, because the guys that are still buying comics and some kids like the paper, like the feel of the comic book, like touching it, like reading it, putting it away, maybe on the next to the toilet and reading it again 3 days later, whatever. And I think that most of my customers today are 25 and older. I don't have a lot of kids anymore, but I haven't had a lot of kids for the last 5-10 years. So, because everybody's into computers and phones. So where the industry is going, I think it's still going to be around, but I think it's going to be on a different level. I don't think new comics are going to be the mainstream of the industry in 10 or 15 years. I see the older books still continuing to go. I see the restored graded books. You know, right now a restored graded book is 20-30% of a regular price. If you have a book that's a $400 book, but the same book is restored, it's worth maybe $100.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I see that changing, because if the books keep escalating that are unrestored, the way they have been, like the Hulk 181s, the Spidey 129s. You've seen it; they've gone 25 to 30% higher in the last 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
They're growing by leaps and bounds. But if they could, and I don't know if they're going to continue to grow because they have stagnated now a little bit. Like the Hulk 181 is leveled off, the Punisher 129 is leveled off. But I still see growth, and if they continue to grow, I think that's going to change the logistics for the restored books, that people are going to start buying more restored books because they're going to be priced right.
Someone who might not be able to afford a bigger one.
People may want, hey, an Action 1 restored is still going to go for $200,000, depending on the grade.
Yeah.
As opposed to maybe it was $1 million. There's still going to be a guy out there that's going to buy it for $200,000. It's going to say, hey, I got an Action 1.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I think the restored values are going to go up. I think that the new comics are still going to be around, but not on the same level that they are today. And I mean, I got customers that come in here on Wednesday to pick up their new books that were normally spending $30, $40, $50 and now spending $60, $70, $80 because of the prices of the books.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that hurts the industry too. I understand the rising cost of everything. I look at my insurance and everything else. Everything's going up. And I understand the cost of books are going up. But at what point do you say, I'm going to buy a comic book for $7 or $8? You know, at $3, $4, $5, it's turned people off. They're not buying the new books as much. But I still see the collectors there. But I don't see any rules of attrition that I've seen over the years where people drop out and new people come in. I still see new people coming in, but not at the higher percentage that I used to see from years ago. Like for every 20 people that would leave, 15 people would come back, or maybe 25 people would come back, where now 15 people leave and maybe only 5 people come back. And that's the way it is because the kids that are coming into it are not buying like the older guys like me that have been buying all their lives. Like, I couldn't do digital comics because that's not my thing. That's not the way I was raised with the comics.
Right.
Yeah.
I was raised to touch them, feel them, smell them, everything else. I mean, I still get a high when somebody comes in with a collection from the 40s or 50s.
You
and
can
I
smell
smell
it.
it.
Yeah.
And I go, wow,
was great.
the old smell of the comics. And I got to say, I hope they didn't read them all in the bathroom, you know?
That was a great answer, actually. That was a great answer to that question. I've never even thought about the
restored stuff. Right?
The restored stuff. It makes sense though. Yeah, it's a great
Well,
perception,
eventually it's got to change. If that's assuming that the price of the unrestored books keeps climbing the way it is.
Yeah.
You know, I have a 9.4 Hulk 181, as you guys know, that I didn't sell at the show, but it's $11,000 book. I don't have guys walking in every day with $11,000 in their pocket. I'm holding it for the next show.
Right. Yeah, that's probably the way you got to do it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that's all the questions. You guys have any last questions?
Let me ask you something. So, besides selling out of the store, have you dabbled in eBay and stuff like that? I mean,
Since '94.
still doing it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never
Still
checked.
doing eBay, but I don't put up ungraded books on eBay because they don't go for a lot of money unless I put them together as a set or a variant or something like that. Mostly I only put graded books up. And I do the internet. We have a website, bestcomics.com,
Right.
which I have help with from Matt, who's been great with it.
I just noticed the other day it said his name on the bottom for creating the website.
Does it really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think my wife's name is still there too. Yeah. Do that to keep her in the good graces.
That's probably wise.
And what else? I don't know. I think the industry is strong. It's, and I just hope that the interest still stays there regardless of how prices go with either the new comics or the graded comics.
I don't think the interest is going to ever go away. I think it's just going to change. Like, people are going to change their focus.
I mean, the movies over the years have greatly increased the business.
Yeah, I'm sure.
In the store. I mean, it does make a difference. Like, I have a Spidey 101. I don't remember what it is, 94, 92, first Morbius. Like, I'm holding on to because I know when the movie comes out, the first 2 or 3 months, it'll climb.
Yeah.
And then it'll start to level off. That's just the way it works.
Yeah.
And, you know, the movies have definitely helped. That's why when I go see a movie like Birds of Prey, for example, recently, even though I was turned off by the movie and I didn't think it was that great, I still hope that people like it because that'll help me sell Birds of Prey comics or related merchandise.
Yeah.
Just like Batman has over the years, Spider-Man, and all the other movies that have been out there.
All right. So I did lie. I do have one last question since we kind of touched on it. Do you feel like we're at the peak now, or do you think there was a different time since at least you've been in it of the business?
I feel the peak was in the 90s.
Oh, okay.
Really, even
When I first started, with the death of Superman, Spawn, Todd McFarlane, the movie starting then, and right before the CGC started up, because people were getting away with a lot of things, and pricing, and before the birth of the internet, where, you know, I don't have that many people walking in with that great books anymore to sell me, because there's other avenues for them to go now. They're either selling them online, or they're going to the auction house, or Comic Link, or Comic Fink, or whoever these guys are out there, or Comic Connect, because, and I just get overlooked. I get the people that are coming in through the door that are lazy, that don't want to bother with all that.
Yeah.
They'll just come in and they'll go around to a couple of comic dealers to try and get their highest price.
Yeah, that's a good answer to that. I didn't even think about that. I think you're probably one of the people that would tell us the 90s. I feel like everyone always says like the 90s were a rough time.
No, the 90s were the best for me. I mean, I remember when the first couple of years I was in business and they had the whole storyline leading up to the death of Superman, which to this day I still feel is one of the best stories I've ever read.
Oh yeah, I've read that. It's so good.
That there were people outside my store before I opened, waiting online on a Wednesday to buy the next Superman book that led into the storyline. And I've never ever had that after that. I've had people lined up for, you know, artists that we've had in the store and stuff like that, but
never to that caliber.
Never to that caliber. And, you know, the 90s were good times. You know, I had the Bowen license. I was distributing, and comic collections were coming in because people didn't have the internet. I mean, things were great. Things were good.
Interesting.
They're still good, but for me, the 90s was the best.
I never would have thought that.
Yeah. No,
it makes sense though.
That's why we do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll get a little promotion in here. So do you guys have any special events coming up or sales that you want to let people know about?
Well, we do have a small sale for this President's Day weekend.
Okay.
Today and Monday.
This will be out on Monday, so people would already miss it, but we're going to put it on Instagram and stuff like that you got going on.
And the next big thing is I got some big shows coming up in May and June. And then we have the first Saturday in May for Free Comic Day.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
That's going to be the next, that's always a good push for us. You know, we have a lot of people coming in, and we discount a lot of the books on Free Comic Day to make people spend, and they get out of here and they're happy because they've made some good deals, and I've made some extra money.
Do you have any special guests coming in that day?
We always have somebody. I couldn't tell you yet, but we always have somebody.
Cool.
All right, awesome. Well, this was a great interview, Tommy. Thank you very much. I think we learned a lot. Yeah, so I'm hoping people who listen to this learn some stuff too.
Yeah,
great.
Thank you.
We'll have to do this again sometime.
Yeah,
anytime you want, guys.
And thank you for inviting us to your store to do
it's-
this. This is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I like this.
It's always awesome doing on site. I like
Good,
doing on-site
good.
stuff. Yeah.
Oh, no problem.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Tommy.
Okay,
All right.
my pleasure.
Until next
Thanks.
time. All right. Thanks again to Tommy and all the guys at Best Comics. It was a really great interview. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Make sure to hit them up. You know, see, Nick and Tommy. They're pretty good about taking care of people. Anyone else there? It's a good shop.
It really is a good shop.
All right. So we're gonna end it today. So we have a fun idea that we're not ready for, and we want to include the rest of the crew in it with them. So we'll do that at a later date. We need to prep to shop a couple names for that segment. But now we're just going to do some recent pickups. So it's just me and JJ, but I'm going to share Toy Story's recent pickup too. So
there you go.
Why don't you kick it off there, JJ?
So what did I get this week? So I got a lot of stuff in the mail. that I ordered that I actually forgot I ordered. I guess this took a long time to get, but my first one this week was I don't even know when he announced this, but our friend J. Scott Campbell, I'm gonna call him our friend.
Sure.
We give him a lot of money, so
Yeah.
I think I paid for his wedding.
Yeah.
I got the Wonder Woman 750s that he did. These are great covers. I got covers A, B, and C. I actually don't know which ones are which here, but one of my favorites here, and I'm gonna broadcast these out later this week on our Instagram page. But we've got one Wonder Woman where she's with the whole Justice League. And you got Superman, Aquaman, Flash, Batman,
Yeah, modern
Hawkgirl.
looking cover.
It's beautiful. I mean, it's probably one of my. It's out of these three, this is my favorite. Again, I love his women. And then there's the other one, which is she's hanging out with her Amazon girls. Again, just a great cover. Again, we'll post these. And the last one was probably my second favorite. And I think this is the reason why I wanted to buy this was it's a World War II cover.
Yeah,
so
that one was my favorite, the Golden Age look.
It's her with a bunch of guys in a tank and a couple airplanes in the background. But it's such a great looking cover. So I got these this week from J. Scott Campbell. So if you ever listen, Jay, thanks very much. So I also TC brought over my my Marvel Celebrate Stan Lee graded book that I got this week. So that was a 9.6. A little disappointed. And then my lovely wife who supports me in my habits. She hooked me up with a couple of Valentine's Day presents. A beautiful 1961 Detective Comics. I'm my idea. So I've said this in the past a lot, but I'm doing a full run of Aquaman Volume 1. So it's only 63 issues, but I'm also trying to pick up anything with Aquaman in it. And there's actually quite a lot of books, and so
now Silver Age stuff or
anything. I mean, obviously it would be Silver Age because there's only one Golden Age, and I'm never going to get my hands on that one. That's the More Fun Comics 73, which is about $80,000. Which
more.
will never happen. But she found this one here. This was pretty cool. So Detective Comics 293. No significance whatsoever, but basically this is the story. This is the Aquaman story begins. So this predates the first silver appearance of Aquaman in his own title. So I looked it up a little bit, and it's just one of those. I guess back in those days they had like 2 or 3, maybe 4 stories inside the comic book.
Oh, so there wasn't any interaction with Batman. It was just he had like a mini story in there.
It's a mini story with him and Aqualad. So it's basically I would think that this would have been his first Silver Age appearance.
They're splashing each other.
Probably, frolicking with the dolphins. So that was pretty cool find for her. I did not know this book existed, so I'm very happy about that. And then the other one she got me is part of my collection is the Aquaman number 6, 1962. It's the first appearance of Quip and Quirk.
Yeah, that's a nice cover. It's actually a nicer cover in person than it is on the photographs. I know you posted it recently, and I was like, oh my god, it's like so much more beautiful in person.
It's pretty cool. So again, thanks to my wife. And then today, we were
thanks June.
Thanks June. Well, we just said her name. Did we say her name ever?
Mrs. JJ.
Mrs. JJ. So I scored a couple cool ones at Best Comics today. So if you listen to the podcast, listen to his interview.
Shortly after it ended, we started buying books.
Lots of books. So I picked up. This is a very cool. He recently got a hold of a bunch of Action Comics. So I scored one. This is Action Comics 276. It's got Supergirl on the cover, and she's being hit up by a bunch of other little Supermans. It's kind of crazy, but it's the first appearance of Brainiac 5, Triplicate Girl, Bouncing Boy, and Shrinking Violet. And Supergirl also joins the LOSH. Losh? I don't know what that is.
Legion of Superheroes. I believe.
That what that is?
Yeah.
I never heard of it referred to as that.
It's LOSH?
That's what it is, because the very first line says the 6th Legion of Superheroes.
Yeah.
So this was a cool. I dug it because of the cover. I love these covers. I got quite a few older Action Comics, so that's a nice addition. And an impulse buy. I got a copy of Mr. Miracle, which was pretty cool. It's Mr. Miracle number 6, 1971. It's the first appearance of the Female Furies. I know nothing much about the character, but I love the cover. I'm all about the covers on these, especially
it's a Jack Kirby cover
Jack
too, right?
Kirby, yeah. So this was cool purchase today.
Nice.
So yeah, that was my week. How about you?
I'm gonna cover Toy Story first. I don't know if he wants to share, but he posted it, so we're gonna share.
There we go.
Did he mention this? I don't think he did yet, right?
Which one?
The Amazing Spider-Man #1.
Did he post that one? I don't think I saw that.
No, he posted it, but I don't think he mentioned it.
We never
yet.
talked about it.
So he upgraded. I believe he had a 1.8. And he upgraded recently to a 4.0. Now I got to tell you, I told him when I saw this, it's a beautiful 4.0. It presents really well. He got it from Reese's Rare Comics. Those guys are great. If you ever run into them in a show or feel free to do. I think Toy Story got this through their website. He talked to a couple of the guys. And they did right by him, so it was really a great book. Nice. Like if you look at it, we posted it on the Long Island Comic Guys Instagram page, but it's just gorgeous. Another one that he recently got to when we were at the Clifton Comic Expo. Just another one he was missing. It was an Amazing Spider-Man 65. It's the cool one where like it looks like there's like some guards chasing him in a jail, and he's like kind of crawling off to the wall. Yeah. Just a really cool cover. He picked that one up from Zap Comics.
I love the way that cover pops with just Spider-Man on it.
Yeah,
everything else
it looks like the hands actually reaching out and getting you.
Very 3D-ish.
Yeah, really cool cover. And then I guess I'll jump over to the stuff I got. I'm sure there's other stuff Toy Story got, but I don't know. We'll leave that to him to tell you.
We stole his thunder enough.
Yeah. But me and Toy Story made a little deal. I wound up getting a 6.5 Amazing Spider-Man 14 to him. Nice. I think I may have contributed to that Amazing Spider-Man 1 a little bit. So I feel like it's a little bit of mine as well, even though I have my own signed by Stan Lee. It's a great cover, great colors. I have an Amazing Spider-Man 14. It was just really beat up. I'll probably wind up getting that one clean, pressed, graded, and maybe selling it at one of the next shows. But I'm really happy to have this one. It was an upgrade I needed to do. Especially for a big character like the Green Goblin. And what else did I get? I also got a book, a Spider-Man book when we were at the Clifton show. The Clifton Expo was the Amazing Spider-Man 8 from Zap Comics. Great cover. It could use a little bit of a press, but nice raw book. Probably after a press might be like a 4.5, 5.0. But Amazing Spider-Man 8. It's the first appearance of the Living Brain. I don't think it's really anyone who's reading any of the recent stuff, Superior Spider-Man, some of the Spider-Man books. He plays a big role. A lot of interaction with Doc Ock. He's a cool character.
Nice. So let's just break off here a little bit. So you went to the Clifton show, a week ago?
Yeah.
Tell us. I mean, how was that? I mean, I've gone to it once or twice.
So it's a Clifton Comic Expo. It's just a comic show. Nothing else. I think maybe a couple people have like supplies, maybe some people do t-shirts, but you have to come. I think to get a spot there, it's once a month. You have to come, you have to agree, maybe once or twice. I think it's once a month. And you get your same spot every time. If you drop out, I think you maybe lose your spot. But there's not like New York Comic Con numbers there, but everyone in there is looking to buy comic books. So it's a really good show for people looking to buy books.
From the one time, I think I've been there once, maybe twice. Twice I've been, and both times, like when I was there.
Oh, there's good stuff.
Like
there.
Really good stuff.
Yeah.
Like you can find some hidden gems.
I've never gone there and walked out without comic books.
Yeah.
So this is probably one of the times where I only bought a few. We also bought to discuss some business where we're going to be buying some new racks. For a future, not the table racks, for future shows. So you'll see those next time you see us. I think it's at CradleCon, the first show.
Cool.
But
it's a good show. I missed out. I'm sorry that I missed out.
It's not that long of a drive either. Me and Toy Story left from Queens. I won't say where, and it took us about 30 minutes to get.
Yeah, that's cool.
And what else did I get? I talked about this for a little bit last night. I recently got, so there's a Master of the Universe DC miniseries. It was 3 books. I got the second one on Thursday. Finally got the third one today. I actually haven't even opened it yet, but pumped to have that series done. Like I said, I'm working on a Master of the Universe run. There's 13 books in the Marvel series. I don't have any of those yet graded, so my goal is to get all of those, and this is the crazy part, in a 9.8. Luckily, they're not too absorbently expensive, so should be fun to have a whole run of Master Universe in the 90s.
So Tim Seeley did that run that you're doing right now, the one that you booked.
Tim Seeley, which one? Master Universe?
He-Man, the Masters of the Universe.
Yes, he did.
That's pretty cool. I like him.
Yeah. Wait, Tim Seeley did the old ones?
Well, whatever one you posted this week.
Oh, no, that's not the run I'm talking about.
Okay.
This is back from 83.
Wow.
Yeah, that was an awesome book, though.
But this one here looks pretty cool.
Yeah. They have a crossover event going on right now.
Who's the girl he's fighting there? Who's that supposed to be?
I don't know. I haven't read that issue yet.
She's very well endowed.
Yeah. So I also got 2 books from Best Comics today. The first one was I got a really nice copy of Black Lightning #1.
Beautiful.
Book I've been actually looking for a while. Tommy gave me a great deal on it, as I'm sure he will if you go in looking for some books as well.
Probably.
So I got that, and I also got a Mr. Miracle book myself. I snatched this before JJ got to the box. I got a Mr. Miracle #1, first appearance of Miracle and Mr. Miracle and Oberon. So pretty cool cover. I think really, really nice grade on it too.
It's a beautiful cover.
Yeah, it's a raw book, but it's really nice condition. The Mr. Miracle especially.
I probably would have snagged the Black Lightning book.
Yeah,
over the Mr. Miracle book, but both of your books are fantastic.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to get those. So more comic books to do what with.
Right.
But yeah, I think that's it for
cool.
Recent pickups.
Good stuff.
Yeah. So we have any announcements? We got some stickers coming.
We got some stickers coming.
Yeah,
I reordered some stickers.
Yeah, we're gonna have.
This time we've got Long Island Comic. Well, I reordered the Long Island Comic Guy stickers, and then our newly Don't Feed the Geeks stickers.
Yep, excited about those.
And
get to add those to my sticker door.
There you go. That they're going to be $5 each.
Well, we're going to discuss the price, but I think what's going to happen is when we're at shows, anybody who follows both the Don't Feed the Geeks and the Long Island Comic Guys will get a free sticker to each one. People who aren't into social media, it's fine. I think we're figuring out a price point for those. So if people just want to buy them, that's fine. We're willing to sell them. But yeah. We've
got a lot of things.
Just a little swag, yeah.
We've got a lot of little things coming down the pipeline that we're trying to figure out, and we're gonna start growing this a little bit better, better, and we've got some stuff we're working on.
We're gonna take over the world.
We're gonna try to.
The comic book world.
There you go. There you go.
All right, good stuff.
Yeah, I don't. So we got some shows coming up. We're looking. We've already signed on for. Again, we've talked about this, but CradleCon.
Yep, doing CradleCon.
When is that? May.
The last weekend in May, I believe. Yep.
And then what's the other one?
We're doing EternalCon.
EternalCon.
Yes.
Very exciting.
I believe that's July. Don't ask me the weekend yet. I don't know off the top of my head.
That's cool.
All right, yeah, but we got big things going on. So be on the lookout. Follow us on social media. So tell your friends about it.
Let's if we can get your help and try to like and subscribe to our
absolutely
our YouTube channel. We're going to be growing our YouTube channel a little bit. We're going to be adding more different content and more of it. So we're looking maybe doing some card breaks. Because I'm heavily into the non-sports cards like the Star Wars cards and all those. So I'd like to do some more of that and some box openings of some statues that we're going to be coming down the pipeline.
I've got a few in the closet that we can open.
So we want everybody's help to like and subscribe and share and all that other good stuff.
We're also working on getting a best of Long Island as well.
Oh yeah.
I think we need to share some information out there to give you guys what we need you to do to nominate us if you feel so inclined to do so. But we'll get that out there soon as well.
Or don't, just do it.
Well, no, they need specific information to nominate us. Remember?
No, just do it.
Okay. Yeah. So that's that. And great episode, right? Great episode. I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So I guess until next time, remember.
Don't feed the kids.